Yo, Green, how you doing, man? Thanks for the resub for 10 months, dude. Really appreciate. Yo, Darkborn, how you doing? What's up, Spooky? What's up, Toodles? Sick. Angled up in controllers here. Alright. Yo, Mozzarella, what's up? How you doing? Yo, Chirico, nice to see you, man. What's up, Banana Corn? Alright. Okay, so here's the deal. Today is Dex build and we're gonna start by going to Ronaldo. And one thing that I want today is I want 80 Dex. So we're gonna focus on 80 Dex first, and then the rest of the stats will come after. So we're gonna want that big Dex damage.
Now.
Yo, Firekeeper, how you doing? Thank you so much for the tier 3 resub for 23 months, man. Thanks a lot. Okay, so we want this at 58, want this at 38. Oops. 8. Strength, we're gonna get this to 16. And then every point here, I'm gonna go there for now. And then we're gonna do this. And then I'm not quite sure about the stat allocation, but I know we want 80 here. Let's see where that leads us. Wow, we only have 2 more points to spare after that. So we're gonna go with that. And then the question will be, do we want... You know what? Let's go like that. That's a good stat spread. 60 vigor, 38 endurance, 16 strength, 80 dex. So this is going to be our stat spread. It's a good stat spread, honestly. We might not wear this armor. I'm not quite sure yet, but all right. So let's look at the potential weapons that we could be using. First of all, Dex has a nice weapon selection. First of all, we're gonna go to Claws of Night. We're gonna go to Raptor Talon. We might go for we grab a Pada just for it, but I don't think we're gonna be using that. Yo, Reef, thanks for the resub for 34 months, man. Thank you, guys. Maybe Millicent Prosthesis locked. It could be an idea. It's gonna depend on the setup. Maybe we can remove some points and then have a Millicent locked, like you're saying. It's not the worst idea. As far as sights are concerned, I mean, I use sight often on strength. Sights are mostly strength, so... Like here, really, we want to use stuff that's really like Dex build focused. I'm gonna grab some Nagis. I don't think I'm gonna be using them, but colossal stuff, no. Great hammers, maces, that sort of stuff is no. How about this? Nah, fuck it. No axe. Axe are mostly strength. Maybe a hand axe, though. One-handed hand axe. Same thing with twin blade. You two-hand the twin blades. Okay, there you go. Rakshasa. That's one. Hand of Millennia. Sword of Night. Obviously. Wow, we can't use the Kiba because it requires 18 strength. We could use the bird helmet. Bird helmet would work. We could actually gain some points by using bird helmet. I think that might be what we do. We might use bird for this build. Yo, Steel, how you doing? Sec. Alright, still, I'll read and talk to you in more details after the stream. Thanks for the heads up. I appreciate that. But yeah, I'll talk to you after the stream if you're still there, or you know, some other time. Oh, Backend Blade is something we definitely want to try today. Curved Great Swords, I mean, no. Falks, we definitely want Falks. Already, I think we have like Dex weapons here. Actually, Bandit Curved Sword. We could do some insane damage with Bandit Curved Sword, so I definitely want to try that. Like the Bandit Curved Sword deletion is something that we could do. Gonna have our roll of BHS here. And then for the Great Swords, not really planning on using Great Swords today. Milady, double Milady on Dex could be interesting. Can grab 2 of those. Obviously, Straight Sword on Dex. It's a good pick, but we've used Straight Swords already with the Fate build recently. So we're gonna pass up on the Straight Swords. And then obviously we have Wakazashi, but Wakazashi is not really an invasion setup. Okay, so let's just take a look real quick at what we have, like, for weapons that we figured out could be good. So we have, like, a few of them already. Like, we already have almost enough for 1 page. If we count the great bows, we probably have enough already. I don't think I'm going to be using the Kibas, but I wanted to see the damage on them. Okay, so here's the deal. This is good enough. Now, the question is mostly which weapon are we going to base our setup on? Because obviously, I think it's a good idea for a setup like that to have like a swap setup where, you know, you have Falks available, you have Rakshasa available for a swap, you have Sword of Night, and then the last one, I'm not quite sure. Maybe Hand of Millennia for another swap. So, like, we already have some weapons that we could pick for swaps. Now the question is, what is our base weapons? I'm tempted to use Claw of Night because the damage is ridiculous. But I think for invasion, Endure Urumi actually probably makes more sense. I think Endure Urumi. We're gonna, first of all, we're gonna infuse some of these weapons just to see the damage, you know, give us an idea like what we're working with, what type of damage we should be expecting. Oop, this is a parry fucking pot, what the hell? What, for this Pada, I really like Barbaric Roar on Pada. For the whip, honestly, I don't think we're gonna have 2 whips because whip is really not that much of a weapon I would use for anything else than ender into like one-shot attempt. So we're gonna skip this one. For the Kiba, or Naginata, I mean, I think you want to have one. I think it's one with Storm Stomp. And then one that has BHS for escape purposes. And then the Hand Axe. Hand Axe, I think you want Bragger. Or the Offen. Bragger and Keen here. And then the Backend Blade, I want to see the Swift Slash damage. And then the other Backend Blade, I'm not even sure we're going to use that, but what could we put on it? I mean, your guess is as good as mine. Like, you could use Blind Spot. I'm not really sure Blind Spot is that useful, to be honest, against multiple people. Maybe Sword Dance could be somewhat useful, but I think we're going to go with BHS, like, simple, for escape purposes. And then we have Bandit Curve Swords. Bandit Curve Swords, I'm expecting them to do a lot of damage. I'm thinking like doing the Baby Turtle style with these. Maybe the main hand with Storm Stomp, where you have like one Storm Stomp, the other one's damage, and then obviously your TS are going to be going to be keen with DHS. And then the Milady, Milady, like if we have two of them, you'd probably want like one for damage and then the other one with like sword dance. Or maybe actually maybe you want the versatility of having a spin slash and a sword dance. I think that could be a little bit more of a balanced approach. And then a Wakazashi that I don't really think I'm going to be using, if I'm being quite honest. Probably like Wakazashi with DHS on it. Alright, give me 1 sec, guys. I'll be right back. Alright. I actually had an idea. I think we're gonna do a setup that's a little bit more akin to what we had in Dark Souls 3 now that I think about it. What we're gonna do is we're gonna use the Wakazashi as our main weapon. We're gonna have a board. And since we're on Dex build, we can use some parries. So we're gonna have a shield, Wakizashi, and maybe an often loaded crossbow as well. So, and then we're gonna rely on the swaps on top of that. So technically, let's empty the inventory and we're gonna make this. Actually, before I do that, do I have the shield? Okay, the shields are already right here, so I don't need to put the shield in the inventory. They're close enough. So we're gonna use these. Okay, so here's the deal. The Wakizashi, this one, is going to be our base weapon. So it's going to be this, and then it's going to be Rakshasa swap, you know, Falk swap, Claws of Night perhaps, or actually probably Urumi swap. Probably Urumi swap. Alright, let's make the inventory. What am I doing here? Okay, like that. Okay, so let's get this straight. Let's start with our Toomey Lady. And then we're gonna have our usual stuff, which is actually, can we wield Golem? We need to switch location though, because we can't two-hand in this place. Oh, here. You're playing Dex, play off rack and Fox. We can try that as we move along, but I want to try a more like interesting swapping heavy setup. Our main setup is good at roll catching. We have like a soft swap finisher with the crossbow. Okay, there you go. We can two-hand Golem and use it. So 16 is actually the limit. So again, guys, Golem is always the best grade bow. Although, just for the sake of making the inventory simpler to make, I'm gonna put these temporary equipment pieces with this, and then we keep making the inventory. Now, 2 more weapons that are not swaps per se. I'm gonna go with the Bandit swords, and then it's going to be our up swap. So when we swap up, this is what it's going to be. Let's go with the Hand of Millennia, and then 2 more weapons. We can go for the these here. Okay, and underneath, probably gonna have like Claws of Night as like a side swap. Probably gonna have or not Sword of Night, but Claws of Night, then Sword of Night, then our main base weapon, then Rakshasa. And I think for the other weapon, we don't actually need another swap for the second one to the side, but I'm sure we could figure something out. Maybe having a flame strike, thinking like having a flame strike available would not be a bad idea. Just to have one. Or perhaps like a spin slash. Maybe like a spin slash great katana. Or not great katana, twin blade. We're gonna put a twin blade swap here. And then it's gonna be 2 more weapons in the inventory. So it's going to be these claws, perhaps this here, and then it's going to be the Falks. And then we have 2 more weapons. I don't think I'm going to be using these spears, but fuck it, let's have one. Let's have at it. Okay, and then for the bottom, let's put I actually have like most of the stuff I already need, so it's going to be filler stuff. I'm gonna grab a dagger that we can riposte with. Gonna grab These maybe. And then the Urumi that we're going to be using for Endure, we can use it as a 2-tick swap downward. And then we have 2 more pieces that we can put here, which quite frankly, I don't know what else we could be using on this. Like, if I just look at the inventory real quick, we have like 2 more slots for something. And we could have some straight swords. Maybe Warhawk Talon could be interesting, but I mean, we already did like a few streams on these already. Iron Bolt, Thunderbolt. Yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe a Thunderbolt somewhere would not be a bad idea. Maybe like a weapon that has Thunderbolt and another one with Lightning Goat Ram. I think that's not a bad idea. Okay, so let's do that. Let's go for a weapon. You know what? Let's grab 2 raptors. And then finish off with this. Then we're just gonna equip it. So this one here is going to be, let's say, Thunderbolt. And this one here is going to be Lightning Ram. Okay. So technically we have everything we need. So the setup is going to be something like this. Oops, also forgot to remove the temporary weapon. That's why the inventory looks fucked up. Temporary weapons, these ones. So as you can see here, everything fits in nicely. There you go. Might as well, like, infuse these things while I'm at it. We're gonna have them available if we need to. Not really sure if it's better to have them keen or lightning. We're gonna go for lightning. Technically, this should be our setup. Something like that. But we do need the weight to carry Rakshasa, which I think is going to be our heaviest swap. Yeah, Rakshasa is going to be our heaviest swap. Also going to change this one, because if I remove weapon, like take a riposte, it's going to be that. So we're too heavy with this setup. It's a little too much. So the plan is going to be to reduce our weight a little bit. If we do that, we're already good, which is not really much of a sacrifice, to be quite honest. It would have been nice to look cool, though. I think this looks cooler. Something like that looks way cooler, I think. That's gonna be like the main play here. We are going to use for Talisman the Shard of Alexander, because a lot of our swaps are Ash of War focused. And I think we're gonna start with this. I think this is gonna be our setup to start with. Alright, let's try this out, guys. Actually, before we start, I need to move some stuff around. Gonna just take the pots that we want. Technically, for our pots here, we want the frost ones mostly. And then I think it's a good idea to have the lightning ones. I think these lightning ones do make you fall off. So we're gonna have the big lightning one here. And then the frost one here. And then we should be good to go. This should be good enough. So again, we have the crossbow for the finisher and to aggress people that don't really move all that much. So we're gonna try this out. So this should be interesting. It's going to be a very like hands-on setup, meaning that a lot of the effectiveness for this setup is going to depend on the swaps and the execution of the swaps. Although, to be fair, I've not really played much with this swap setup, so it's gonna take a little bit to get used to, like when to use what. I think usually Rakshasa swap is one that you could use most of the time, and that's probably going to be the swap that's used most on this. It's just the nature of the weapon. It plays like a Lido, in my opinion, if you use the Ash. So you have that big hyper armor. Would one learn the nitty-gritty of invasions? Honestly, the nitty-gritty of invasions are mostly about knowledge checks. It's not so much about, well, obviously, the build you're making, like what I'm doing here with the swaps and everything, that's not something that a beginner would want to do. First of all, if you were trying to win at all costs, you would not, like, do what I'm doing here. Like, if you wanted to win invasions at all cost, like, you'd have, like, a setup that's, like, set to be a one-shot, or set to be, like, something that can easily kill someone. Like, if I really wanted, like, high success rate today, unironically, I'd probably rock most of the time, like, the whip tender and, like, have my talismans, like, all set up for whip damage. That would probably be my highest success rate if I was trying to win at everything at all cost. Obviously, that's not a strat that works in every situation, but like, technically, if you really want to win invasions, it starts with having a proper build that's set up for some sort of one or two shot. Now, after that, you know, obviously, you know, people play however they want, but the idea is that, you know, what we're doing is every stream we're playing with something different. Like something that's a little different from what we usually use, so that way it's fun because you learn new stuff about the game. Sometimes you discover things that you had not thought of, and you add them to your repertoire of tools that you could use in X or Y situation. So there's part of that, but when it comes to the like, going back to your question, when it comes to the nitty-gritty stuff about invasions, it's mostly like knowledge checks about when you should be pushing, when you should be backing up, like what is the proper play in a situation, like what are you able to do as the invader. For instance, if there's a group of 3 people in front of you, there are situations where it makes sense to aggress them, and there are other situations where you should be running away. It's going to be hard to quantify that sort of stuff and say, like, you should always do this, and in this situation should always do that. It comes in with, like, how you judge the skill level of your opposition, what they're using, how aggressive they are. Because sometimes you can have bad players, you know, that are very passive, and it can be difficult to approach them given their setup. Or you could have bad players that are very passive, and that opens up opportunities to finish or pick them off. It really depends, and the same thing applies. You can have bad players that are aggressive, and it prevents you from doing anything, and you can have bad players that are aggressive, and they're basically like free kills because they're just too aggressive. So it's going to be hard, again, to quantify, like, when it's good to push and when it's not, or when it's good to go into a 3v1. Technically speaking, you know, it's always better to not engage in 3v1s and use range stuff. Like, if you wanted to have the highest possible success rate, technically stuff that's a little bit more range heavy, like, you know, focusing on the Golem Great Bow for most of your invasions would probably be more optimal than going in there to fight. But you do need to have setups that are geared toward like 1v1 situations, because at the end of the day, like, a lot of it is going to come down to winning 1v1s. If you can't win your 1v1s as the invader, you're going to have issues. I wanted to BS him, but I love the hyper armor on this. We did some good damage with the weed cutter though. At 80 dex, weed cutter is gonna do work, I think. But yeah, again, if you want to learn how to play invasions properly, I think a lot of it comes with experience, like knowing. Because a lot of the difficult stuff about invading is going to be judging what you should be doing. We call it like the macro plays. Like, that's a term that was coined like back in Dark Souls 3. Like, I think I actually came up with that fucking term, actually, now that I think about it. And then the community just adopted it. Like, macro play, you have like micro play, which I think this was coined by Yem. I think Yem started saying micro spacing, and then the community just eventually adopted it without ever knowing that Yem came up with that shit. But yeah, like micro spacing, usually we define like micro play and macro play, as in micro plays, it's more like between you and your opponent, like how is your spacing, like the execution of how you play with your weapon, that's more like micro play. And then macro play is your decision making in the grand context of each invasion. So like whether you decide to run away, heal, you know, or you decide to go in there, take a risk, go for a finish, that's more like a macro play. So invasions are a lot about your macro plays, basically your decision making. Like what you decide to do for each situation is going to define like how successful you are, a lot more than how effective you are. How effective you are in Elden Ring specifically is determined a lot simply by how powerful your setup is. So like obviously, you know, setups that are very good at one-shotting, you can have like, you know, you can have something like a sword lance, which has like hyper armor that you can use on reaction into a one-shot on the proper build. Stuff like pulls down. Stuff like that, for instance, is not, you know, obviously, you know, there's skills in this game, but in the context of invasions, the skill required to be effective is not as high as people make it out to be. Like a lot of it comes from risk management, how you manage the risk of your invasions, and also because Elden Ring is Elden Ring, a lot of times you just face with situations where you don't really have an out, like you don't have a winning condition, or one mistake will cost you the game, or sometimes you can get frame trapped from a distance where you didn't do any mistake and you still lose. So that's the frustrating part. Seems like I came up with most stuff. To be quite honest, back in Dark Souls 3, like the reason why the channel got bigger is because, you know, started winning a lot of tournaments on every platform, and then got recognized for being very good at the game. Eventually got recognized for being the best at the game. And a lot of that stuff came from like being creative with how I approach the game. Actually, I forgot I have VHS on this. I can just escape. I think what we're gonna do here is, when we can, we're gonna use a big frost spot on that guy. Dodged it. A very important kill, although the host dropped down, I think. Yeah, the host is down, so no problem there. That's actually a pretty good way to deal with the Rakshasa swap. I was not expecting that. Rare moment where you get hit by the butt slam, but you know, that works. So you pretty much just keep invading, and the more you fail, the more you'll have like experience to make better calls. Yeah, honestly, that's the gist of it. But you can also like speed some of that stuff up by like watching other like good content creators. Like, you know, if you watch, I think though, like watching vids on YouTube, it depends on the format. Like for most of the time that I've been making content, I never really edited the invasions much, because the idea was that, you know, you gain more out of seeing like the whole picture rather than if the clips are too cut short. But for the most part, people nowadays don't really want to get better at this game, which is completely understandable. So it's better to just cut the content short for the content to be more entertaining. But if you're watching live streams, for instance, like you can gather a lot of some of that decision making just from seeing what, you know, the other player does. Obviously, though, you're not gonna get anything from watching, you know, these content creators that are not that great at PvP, but you know, if you watch Steel or I think you can be pretty confident that most of the time our decision making is the correct one. That's kind of cool that the Fox goes through that. Insane lock on to the guy behind my target. Typical Elden Ring right here. I'm thinking of doing... I have to be careful about the host. Wow, he dodged it. She's surprised. Okay, for this here, we're gonna take our time, heal up a little bit. We have the PvE right there. Let's use it quickly. Take that. Maybe we can cross them. Maybe finish this guy. Or not. This guy is the prime candidate to be finished. Let's heal up again. Some good damage. Bad timing. Problem is the host is preventing us from putting sustained pressure on this guy. So because of that, The correct play here, I believe, is to pepper them and use the crossbow a little bit. There you go. That's some light work. And Rakshasa really is a brain-dead weapon. And by the way, the whole, like, it seems like you came up with most of this stuff. You'd be shocked to know, like, how much stuff I came up with that's, like, in the community that no one realizes. Like, the word shitter is something I introduced to the community as well. Like, the word shitter was employed in other games, you know, prior to that, but you're never gonna find any instances of the word shitter ever being used publicly before my content from Dark Souls 3, which is pretty crazy. So I literally introduced, like, the concept to the community, and I even remember, like, why I came up with that stuff. It was because it was always the same gankers that were griefing, and obviously these people are insecure and looking for attention, so the best way to deal with them was to pretend that I never remembered who they were, even though obviously I did. Like, I'm not stupid. I pretended like I didn't remember who they were, and I put them into a broad category of shit players, and I called them shitters because all they did was ganking and grief. And that really pissed them off, and that created, like, a whole generation of gankers that were targeting me specifically. It really worked. It was some nasty psychology, and it definitely did some work. You can still see the remnant of some of that stuff even today. Like, some of these Dark Souls 3 gankers still try to gank me in Elden Ring from time to time, although that has calmed down quite a bit because Elden Ring just is not, like, nearly as competitive, so, like, people are not as involved into the game like gankers or invaders. This is a single player. Let's see what we can do against him. He's not even healed up, but he has the Claws of Night. I think a crossbow against someone like him would be very useful. I would attack there, try to predict and outspace his attack in advance. I think the elevation kind of made the crossbow shot, like, hit the ground instead of reaching him. Okay, he's just mashing. There you go. So the crossbow is a good addition to a build like that because you don't necessarily have, like, that quick range option that's, like, very long range, unlike, let's say, you know, when we had, like, the Fate build, you had, like, a few range options. Or did we actually? I don't remember what the swaps what were the swaps we were using. Play Dark Souls 3. Sometimes you can't jump while you're standing. It sucks. I actually agree with you. I think one thing that Elden Ring did better than previous Souls game is the freedom of movement in this game. Like, a lot of the movement mechanics I think are superior to other Souls game. Like, the whole, like, parkouring around the map just adds another dimension that didn't exist before, and it adds depth and fun to the game that wasn't there before. Like, the issues are elsewhere, you know, it's like the player limit, like a lot of the more structural stuff. Like, a lot of decision making, like the physics introduced into the game, like, that adds, like, a layer of, like, RNG that's less skill based. And let's do this instead, actually. problem here is they're both Moon Veilers. Both Moon Veilers, and I think I saw a blue. Yep. Saw a blue pop in the world. Hopefully, if we hurry up, we can kill him before he gets there. Alright. Gonna have to be careful. 2 Moonveil is an extremely dangerous combination, no matter how you look at it. I did not expect this guy to be that. Oh my god. This guy is not healing either. Okay, let's just finish this. Alright, we can comfortably finish this guy. No, I was not the one who popularized the Radon hard swap. It was, like, for me personally, I got it from, I think it was Barebones, that I saw him, like really utilize this as a swap. I saw it on his channel. Maybe he got it from someone else, but to be quite honest, I didn't come up with much in Elden Ring. Compared to Dark Souls 3, it's not really close. It has to do with your involvement with the game. Like, you know, a lot of these players that really care about the game, they're more likely to come up with stuff than people like me who are a little more jaded about Elden Ring and just, like, play it periodically for content. Like, I don't really think about the game like they do. Like, maybe they'll go to sleep and think about the game. That's what I did back when I played Dark Souls 3, like, you know. Like, if I went to sleep sometime, like, I would be thinking about, like, how to approach certain situations, like some swaps, some builds. Because I really liked it. But obviously for Elden Ring, you know, like, that's just not the case. Who discovered PSGS? I mean, PSGS. Like, when you're talking about, like, something as basic as any power stance setup, like, no one discovered that. It's just, you know, no one discovered that sort of stuff. Like, you can't claim, like, that you discovered PSGS. Like, that's just not a thing. Like, anyone who plays this game will stumble upon this setup just naturally as you're playing. Technically, you should be saying that the very first person who played the game with that setup discovered it, which obviously makes no sense to claim. It's like, it's like, you know, you could push that further and say, like, you know, who discovered, and then you just name any weapon. Like, at this point, it's like, oh, who discovered this weapon? Well, it's in the game. Like, people have been using it since the game came out. Discovered crouching? That's pretty good. Definitely left a mark. You discovered Rakshasa? There you go. Elden Ring tech is more collaborative between a lot of streams. Well, like, for instance, the Madness hand swap is definitely something that someone discovered. Like, there's nothing collaborative about that. From what I heard, it was either Sland or Myth that discovered it. Maybe they discovered it by playing together, but lock on, please? Oh my god. That comboed for me. Have to be careful here. That actually stunned me. I'm surprised. Do I need more pulls here? Let's back off here. Let's back off and... Nice. We take that. Back off here. What? Oh, I thought he DC'd! What happened? Oh my god. What the hell was that? I was sure he DC'd, but he just like lagged and died. Was trying to unplug his router, yeah. Thunderbolt would be a good option to interrupt the caster. I mean... like, there's nothing wrong with having Thunderbolt as a swap. Actually, I forgot. We need to refill our bolts every time we invade and use them. Let's actually change the area. Let's invade from... let's invade from here. Will you play Duskblood? I don't want to. I don't want to buy a Switch 2. I think Switch 2 is a horrible platform that embodies everything I hate about this sort of stuff. Like, it's a very closed platform. Like, you basically rent it. Like, Nintendo can brick it. It's a terrible platform hardware-wise. Like, it's weak. It's outdated. It has a ton of latency. It's weaker than every other platform of its genre, like handheld. Like, it is an inferior platform to everything else that's on the market. You're not going to change my mind about that. But I feel like it's unfortunate to miss out on Duskblood. Very unfortunate that it's exclusive to that shitty platform. So, you know, I'm basically like on the fence. If it's like a 30 FPS game, I think it's going to be easy to skip it. But if somehow FromSoft makes it run at 60 FPS, which I don't think is going to happen, by the way. Oh, my screen just turned off. 1 sec. I have to unplug and replug the cable. Alright. Hopefully it doesn't happen again, but... I mean, it's been the story for this fucking setup. Keep getting black screens. At least it happened after it was over. You agree on that? I mean, honestly, like... I know, like, you know... There was always, like, this whole debate, like, you know, oh, Xbox versus PlayStation, like, PC versus consoles... But, you know, like, there's some very, like, objective metrics in all of that. You know, like, you can't really argue for Switch 2 for any reason aside from the exclusives. Oh, wow, that was some nice range for him. I'm gonna focus on the blue. These guys are funny though. They have their own strat. The problem with the blue is that if he stays close to them, it's gonna prevent me from killing him. He's just stalling. This game. The problem is that the blue is extremely pussy, so it's hard to finish him. He's just extremely conservative and stays like right next to them. I think we're gonna change our strategy a little bit. Actually, I'm not quite sure what I want to do here. Let's just be patient. We need to hit him a few times before we try to Rakshasa swap. Get his health low a little bit. Can't do that. This guy is bad, but he stays like right next to them. And if we get clipped there, we're getting blendered for a ton of damage. I think what we could do, like we can kill these guys because they're like not rolling, but we're gonna need to kill the blue first, no matter how you look at it. Like, even if the blue is really bad because he's extremely passive, it's taking a while to get him to do anything. Okay, there you go. Okay, they just like let me kill him. All right, now I'm gonna approach this in a few different ways. They have a lot of poise and a lot of defense. This is not really a problem if we get hit by that, but you might as well try to punish it. This yellow should be the focus because the yellow has the big ender. Trying to figure out like what's the proper way to kill him. I'm thinking sleeping them makes sense. Actually, we can just do that because they're not rolling. So anything projectile basically kills them. We should have something that has a harder replenish. Oh, okay, let's finish the host now. Okay. Have enough blue to finish him. There you go. Alright, now we should be good. Questionable. This took a lot longer than expected, but in these sort of fights, like, you have to be careful. Like, yes, these guys are memeing, but there's always, like, a lot of ways that you can die if you're too eager to finish them, because they look like easy kills. What's dangerous is if you fight people like these guys, not that are, like, max weight like that, but or even if they're max weight, if they had BHS, that would make this a lot harder because they would not, like, die by, like, any range projectiles. Like, if they had a way to escape any projectile, it would make this a lot harder. Not sure they were genuine or actually memeing. I'm pretty sure they were memeing. I'm pretty sure they were. What do you think of the Canadians matchup in the first round? I like it that they're fighting Tampa Bay in the first round. I really like it. I think it's going to be a good series. We barely missed it. You just let it go. What's my vitality level to have that much health? You should always aim for 60 vigor. And it's also a good idea to have Crimson Ember Medallion and Earthly Favor, although for invasions, they're not as necessary, but if you don't really need other talismans for big offense, they're definitely worth having. Don't get hit, you don't need vigor. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, in the context of PvP, there's no way where you can, like, expect to not get hit. It's just, it's not a thing. Yeah, well, that's just so unlucky. Careful about the moon rails. so unlucky. Now we have a blue to deal with. It's gonna be hard to finish this. I wanted to get the BS, but he got lucky. He got blocked by the rocks. The rocks really make it terrible. Honestly, guys, like, this is one of those where you can't do anything here. Even if they all suck, you can't do shit. Like, this is winnable if it's a 2v1, which we started, but they had the blue sign on, so they were just ganking there. So unfortunately, like, once the third player joins, like, you can't really do anything except, like, hoping to get lucky. Even if they're all terrible, it doesn't actually matter. Too much projectile to deal with. You don't have the poison quick item? Well, in normal circumstance, what I do when I'm out of healing, I put it into the hotbar here, but I was just under so much pressure that I didn't even have time to do that. Problem when you're fighting people like that is because you have no cover, you can't even attempt to attack back because the projectiles are going to kill you every time you try to attack someone back. So, like, if you turn around, let's say, like, the play was turn around and Rakshasa them, maybe I'm going to hit 2 of them, but it doesn't matter because the other guy that's spamming projectiles behind is going to kill you, coupled with the fact that you're trading with 2 people. So you're trading with 3 people when you do that, so your chances of coming out on top in an exchange like that are pretty minimal. Now, what you want to do is, in these situations, is you want to get, like, let's say I'm getting chased by these 3 peoples here and there's projectiles. Well, you go in a room like that and then you attempt to do it. Because when you go in the room like that, you sort of cut off the angle at which they can attack you. To be fair, Omega, for you, like, your out is going to be different because you could probably survive that situation just by panic rolling because of your connection, which is not the same for everyone. So every time you have, like, high latency to a group of people and you can spam roll to avoid, like, the blenders, like, it's not really a fair comparison. Any tips to escape or counter Storm Stomp? Well, depending on which weapon you're fighting that has Storm Stomp, sometimes BHS can actually escape the combo. Like I think like if let's say a Lance has Storm Stomp, you can BHS out and the Lance won't be able to combo. But if it's Starfist, for instance, I don't think you can escape the Starfist Storm Stomp. Now, as far as fighting it, you know, any Eye Armor weapon that will tank the Storm Stomp is a good way to approach it, I think. Like, Lance with Bolgo Talisman is usually my go-to. Fucking Usis. Aussies ruining invasions? Well, not ruining, it's more like it's like your perception of difficulty is gonna change depending on the latency. Like, the person who is latent is gonna have an easier time surviving, but a harder time getting the finish because of the latency. But when you're fighting bad players, it's not that hard to get the finish because they're gonna trade into you with some capacity. So if you can survive on latency forever, you're gonna have a very good chance. Like, for instance, you're speaking of Aussies, like Fawoobs back in Dark Souls 3, like, was a very good invader, but if you watch his footage, it was like light roll on like insanely high lat. He could basically like, I mean, he has montage where he just rolls into a corner like forever and he never gets clipped. I mean, stuff like that matters when you're talking about like survival rate. It's not about player skill, it's purely like, you know, it's not their fault either, but the circumstances make it so that stuff like that is something you're not going to be able to reproduce. Like, if you get cornered on low lat, you're dead. Like, it's just, you're not getting out of it. But for this guy, you know, he could just roll forever in the corner and never get hit. And so he didn't have to worry about getting cornered. Not gonna fight these two guys like at the same time, not without any PvE support. These guys blocked everyone, so there's never really anyone that joins except the random. Like, that's actually like, they're here like every stream, and there's never ever like anyone in the world that can join except like some new names that are basically like randoms here and there. I think they should start unblocking people like Green and anyone they've blocked, like Teach. There's 3 people in here. Be careful. That's one important kill. Oh, fucking swamp. Alright. Actually, let's just roll it. He gave up. And the Rakshasa Hyper Armor definitely comes in handy in situations like that, but the MVP here are for sure the sleep pots. Without sleep pots, it's very hard to win something like that. But yeah, Rakshasa Swamp is something that, like, it's not like it's the first time that we use it. Like, we've used it in previous streams in the past, like as a swamp. We've used it on Dex as a swamp. We've used it on Strength build even. We made a Strength Dex hybrid, like, not so much of a quality build, but really a hybrid. And we used it then as well. But I think it might be the first time that I've used it with 80 Dex. And with 80 Dex, that thing does a lot of damage. I think our current build and weapon setup is definitely useful for a lot of situations. There you go, we got a teammate here. I think that's a good idea. My fucking teammate died. Insane. He fell off. Yo, Chirico, thanks for the Prime resub. Really appreciate it. Thanks for the 52 months, man. How? Well, he fell off on his own. Yeah, but I think he might be coming back here, though. No, it's another one. I was about to move to see if I could find teammate, but he just got hit as I attempted to respawn. Teammate survived, that's the good part. Teammate did a good job surviving. The lock-on made it so we locked onto the wrong person, which made us get hit behind our shield. Teammate a little bit. Teammate did a good job surviving at first when he was under pressure from both of them. We got a bit of an unlucky timing too, because when the teammate joined the world, I didn't see him nearby, so I waited a little bit just to make sure he wasn't nearby, and then I decided to respawn to get on the other side of the map to see if I could find him there. But when I pressed the respawn button, the health bar for a teammate showed up on screen. And so we could have technically helped them quicker, but the timing was basically just unlucky. Rack is messed up. Rack is very strong. What's crazy here is our only source of damage boosting is the Shard of Alexander. We got nothing else for damage boost here. And then obviously sometimes if we use the meat, that's also damage boost, but... Really spawn here. Highly doubt that the enemies are on the same floor as me. In fact, I don't even know which floor this is. I don't even remember this place. Yeah, they're likely on another floor. Okay, I think there's an elevator though to my left here. No. There's not. This place needs signs for real though. Maybe we can see them. Maybe they're gonna be like down here. I mean, here, I think what it's gonna be, it's like gonna be respawn, and then you hope for the best that you eventually get them. We did get them. I was about to say, like, what are they fighting? Come on, game. Oh, he gave up like instantly. As soon as he got hit, he let go the controller. It's faster than running? Yeah, definitely, definitely looks like it was faster than him running. It's so stupid. Quality builds in this game, to answer your question, are really just over-leveled builds. Like, everything else is better. Everything is better on quality, but it takes a ton of stats and it's extremely inefficient. There's nothing per se at meta that makes sense for quality. Like, it's really either you go for, like, a strength build that has a little bit more dex, or a dex build that has a little bit more strength. Like, there's no reason to go, like, 40-40 quality build like you used in previous Souls. Dude, the rock almost got us hit. This is a dangerous Ash. The rock fucking fucked up our running. To see here, like, I'm mostly like dummy testing, like, how far can you use Falx, because obviously it travels a crazy distance, but how far can you push it? Yeah, what Submachine Explorer said, like, yeah, he's right. Like, there are some like niche weapons that scale with quality, but there's no reason, like, I can't really think of anything that's like really worth using from what he mentioned. And like, for the most part, like, if you're building around one weapon, there's nothing wrong with that if you're building around like one specific weapon, but that's not gonna, like, if you're building around one weapon, you're not gonna make like a 40-40 build or a 60 strength build or 54 strength build necessarily. Like, you're gonna, you know, get into like the build planner and then just straight up just optimize the most damage you can get for the points you need for like your armor and everything. And so it's not so much about like building a build that hosts like many weapon, or where you have access to many setup. You're just like focusing on one, and then the stats are just specifically for that one thing. But if you get to the 200 plus level range, like at level 200, you can definitely get close to 80 dex, 80 strength, and you can start dishing some pretty significant damage. Again, though, like, whether this is optimal or not is highly debatable. Maybe if you can get a one-shot out of something, it might be worth it, but like, usually getting like 80 dex or 80 strength is more efficient. Or even, like, if you want, like, quality, because technically, you know, like, the thing with strength build is you have, like, good damage for, like, poison, you have good damage for, you know, blood, physical damage, and fire damage. But, like, strength is usually a little bit lacking with some setups with power stance damage, like, you know, power stance straight sword, for instance, or, maybe, actually, now that I look at it, Pada is good on strength, Starfist and Fist are good on strength. Maybe they're suboptimal for power stance melee. Strength actually doesn't, like, strength even has like double pike or double spears. Like, strength has a lot of options. Like, you could call almost anything quality, really. Like, dex build has like some specialization for some weapons. Like, for instance, what we're using in this setup, it's all like specialized dex stuff. So you'd use dex for specifically for these things, one-handed mostly. And also dex benefits from, usually dex has the highest Ash of War damage, generally speaking. The reason for that is your Ash of War damage scales off of the one-handed AR. And lightning is the element that is possible, that does the most damage through any defense. and is the hardest to defend against. So for the most part, a dex weapon is going to do a lot of damage on its ash. Almost died there. And then you couple that with the fact that you can use Shard of Alexander. Normally, the highest Ash of War damage would be for Fate, because Fate also has a lot of buffs, and usually tends to have a little bit more AR than Dex, for like same amount of point allocation at meta. But the thing is Shard of Alexander does not affect Holy Infusion. Like it's like bugged. So like your Shard of Alexander doesn't give you extra damage for your Fate build on your Ashes. So most of the time you're gonna be dealing more damage for Ashes of War because you can use Shard of Alexander. Like if you count without Shard of Alexander, then you know, Dex without Shard versus a Fate build without Shard, maybe the Fate build might come out on top, but the fact that Dex can use Shard is what makes the difference. So Dex build in general tend to have like highest Ash of War damage for the most part at meta. You also have magic builds that also can use Shard and will have like similar AR than Holy. So sometimes maybe magic would come out on top, but you'd have to just like put the stats in your spreadsheet or your build planner and then see for yourself like what are the actual numbers. So that's big damage. We don't want to take too much of that. Misjudged that range. Don't want to get poisoned for nothing though. I'd love to hit him through the shield. Okay. Oh my god, I went for the BS and missed it. Let's just kill him. That's my fault there. I went for a backstab and I just missed it. Yeah, the holy damage bug is only a thing in PvP. So, like, if you test your damage against PvE, you're gonna think that you're doing, like, better damage than you actually are, too. And also, even in PvP, you're still gonna be doing extra damage, but the problem is you're only gonna be doing, let's say, like, Shard of Alexander gives you, like, 10% extra damage on your Ash of War. Well, if you're on a holy build, it's gonna give that 10%, but only on the physical part of your AR. So like for instance here these Raptor Talons have like well, I didn't have time to see the damage, but they have like a physical portion. Let's say like it's 300 physical and 300 elemental. Well, the 300 elemental, if it was holy, would not get the benefit from Shard, only the physical part. So you're still gonna see your number go up, but technically you're not getting that full damage that you could be getting. You're only getting basically like half of it. So that's a big deal. And perhaps even more than half, because if you're on Fate build, chances are you're probably using like a buff like Sword of Light to up your holy damage. So you're gonna be doing like less than you would expect. Yes, exactly, Submariner. Yeah, or Submachine. Actually, what is it? Yeah, Submachine Explorer. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's very similar to... oh, look at this guy. Is that, like, a safer way to get there? Never actually used that direction. Is there a reason for that holy bug besides FromSoft just forgetting? I don't think they forgot, because I'm pretty sure, like, pretty sure that it's been mentioned to them a few times. Maybe not. I don't know, actually. No idea. Like, sometimes, like, I'm just speculating, but sometimes I feel like FromSoft probably, like make certain decisions that look like mistakes because they're, like, doing, like, the laziest balancing possible. Like, maybe they realize that Fate builds do, like, more damage than the other builds, so instead of, like, you know, properly tuning damage where it belongs, they just, like, make a talisman useless for, like, an infusion, you know? I feel like they might be doing that. Or, like, you know, when you have, like Clean Rot and S-Stock, instead, like, maybe they felt like S-Stock was too strong too early, so instead of, like, tuning the damage, they just swap the fucking hitbox and the damage with Clean Rot, which you get later. You know, like, I'm pretty sure they do some stuff like that. But again, like, I have no proof of that, so, like, I'm sort of speaking out of my ass when I say that. But I feel like it's the sort of stuff I could see From Software doing. Just, like, the laziest balancing possible. Where when you dig into you know, the data for weapons, hitbox, and stuff like that, it looks like bugs or mistakes, but maybe they did that on purpose as, like, the laziest fix possible. PSGS is too powerful, let's buff Rakshasa. It's like another, actually another, like, good example of that is how when the game came out, power stance damage was way more powerful than two-handed. So instead of balancing that out, they introduced a talisman that made two-handed damage like way stronger. And then they also nerfed power stance a little bit, but you know, it's not the worst approach, but you know, like, if you were to do a proper job, like a proper job at balancing would be taking every single, you know, infusion and weapon type and then looking at every single one of them individually. That would be, like, the correct way to balance things. But it takes a lot of time to do that, so you'd understand that you don't want to spend that time for PvP, I assume. Where are they? I hear it. Can't see them, though. Okay, there's one. They're summoning a third one. We do have PvE to help us. Oh, the lat is real. Latency is pretty nasty. Wow, the desync. And both of them are extremely latent, so that's gonna make things difficult to finish them, but the other was about to I was about to look see if the other player joined. At the moment he did the running attack, I was actually trying to pull up the menu, yes, menu to check. But yeah, these guys' connection are gonna make it difficult to finish them, and they're very passive too. They stick to each other and they're very passive. There's a blue that joined. At least they're not very good, so it gives us a chance to beat them. The blue is gonna be a problem though. insane. Okay, at least we killed this one. Just outplayed and saved, really. We almost had him. Fortunate. But we do have a teammate, I mean. Should be over pretty quickly with a teammate. Could have gone up. Or they could be sitting here. They've gone up. There's ways to get where they are faster. But I want to see... No, I can't really see them all that much. I was about to say, I want to see if I can get an angle on them. I don't think I'm gonna be spending much time there. Don't know where my teammate is, though. I'm supposed to have a teammate somewhere. They're just trying to cheese, like they're really bad, but just have to be a little careful, that's all. Teammate is just jerking off in a corner somewhere. It's just really bad players with, you know, high latency stalling, just sticking to each other, hiding in a spot, and just not doing anything. And even though there's technically a teammate that's with me, this guy is AFK or is an idiot. Never actually looked down there. that's questionable. Fine, but because they're not very smart, like, what they're doing is completely useless. Like, for me, like, there's a reason why I'm throwing pots there. Like, if I land something that I deemed is worthy of attacking them afterward, I can jump in there. Like, for them, though, like, if they don't follow me, like, what they're doing is completely pointless. Oh, the clueless teammate is here. I don't even think he saw me. Alright. Oh, he's about to die right there. I missed that. That was our chance. See, the host is down. That's good. And shit player goes down as soon as he's by himself, even with the support from his useless friend. Can't do anything. Teammate did a good job of baiting them down so that we could actually attack them. Because if we go up with the gravitational missile, it's quite risky. Like, my condition for going up with them was either I felt like I slept one, I knocked one over, or I frosted one. Like, you know, only going in there with some sort of advantage. Because, you know, you're at a disadvantage when you go in there in the first place. Because they're just camping there with no friendly fire, you know. Although, to be fair, the optimal play for me here would not have been to go after the host. I thought that the Phantom had jumped down, but the fact that the Phantom was still up, the optimal play for me would have been to go after the Phantom and kill the Phantom first. That was, because it was dangerous to leave the Phantom with his range attack. It could have backfired. He died with his lips on the flask? Yeah, because he used the Divine Blessing instead of a normal flask. Funnily enough, like, what the setup I'm using right now is probably the closest thing that I've used to, like, a Dark Souls 3 style setup. Because technically, back in Dark Souls 3, what I would go for with the strength build was Quick Step Dagger for survivability and chipping them down. And then once I chipped them and they were in range of a big hit, I would Lido swap. And so here, you know, you have the closest equivalent where you chip them with the Wakazashi, and then once you chip them, they're primed for a Weed Cutter swap. So there's some very there's some very similar stuff. And then back in Dark Souls 3, Sword Dance was to break shields. Here you have Sword of Night to break shields. We might get ambushed here. There's two of them. That could have been bad. A little too greedy engaging him because I know he wasn't very good. Engaging him with not full HP. You don't want to do that. He almost got lucky there. His build was a little bit better. He would have gotten a fluke win. Normally, it's not a good idea to engage when you're not full HP. Like, for instance, after you killed someone off, it's a good idea to just take the time to heal fully before engaging the next guy. Because stuff like that can happen. Rakshasa cheese cutter? Yep, that's absolutely true. When the DLC dropped, I was complaining a lot about Rakshasa because I felt like the weapon was... The hyper armor for the Wheat Cutter was busted. I still think it, but, you know, it's pointless to complain about it now because the game is not going to change, so... But when I use it, you can definitely feel like, you know, it is an overtuned Ash of War. There's 3 of them. Could be dangerous. Lock on. Those could die here. Oh, he got saved by this teammate heal. This guy's net is terrible. They had it initially slow and they decided to speed it up. Yeah, it was a terrible idea. It was already good back when it was slower too. Although the main issue with Rakshasa and Wheat Cutter is that the hyper armor on it is overtuned. Like the issue is that you can't break it. Like, you can't break the weapon. Like there's like, I think there's only like two-handed like colossals that can break it. And because the damage on Rakshasa is like higher than like nearly every great weapon, if not all of them, well, not all of them, but nearly every great weapon, and it does like counter hit damage, it's and it has like a better moveset and better length in them, it just outshines like every other great weapon. It's like there's very little reason to use a great sword when you can use Rakshasa, for instance. I think I saw them under. Be an elevator here, maybe? Oh, or a DC. That works too. But yeah, so far the Rakshasa swap has not disappointed. Like, it's very strong. I feel like this build is very complete. The only thing it's missing is like a maybe a quick range attack, and this could have like a bestial roar type attack. Would probably be best to have like that bestial roar over whatever I have, like 2 ticks to the side. I know I forgot what I even put there. Oh yeah, the spin slash. Yeah, technically I could actually have that. But I do have some range stuff with the crossbow though. Actually, yeah, I don't really need it because I have the crossbow and the pots. So like for a slower range attack, I have the pots. For the quick one, I have the crossbow. Technically, you know, I could put like a roar here instead of spin slash. Stormblade may be better than the roar, maybe. But the roar scales on Keen, I think, so. Actually, I forgot to infuse this weapon. It's still heavy infused, I just realized. It's not even Keen. Not getting lucky with these invasion attempts. But yeah, we're gonna re-infuse our spin weapon. Because we're using it for the spin, I think I might even like lightning infuse it. Man, these invasions. The Miyazaki special. You invade 5 times and never get to play a single time. Yo, Steady Shao, thanks for the Twitch Prime resub, dude, for 11 months, man. Welcome back. Really appreciate that. Oh my god. How many is that? Is that 6? That's crazy. It's like 6 invasions in a row where we can't play. Either a DC, you know, enter fog wall, or just no one available. It's even worse as a blue, you never get a chance to play. That's why the blues are so thirsty for a kill. They're starved. This is why you had to take a break for invading? I mean, that's just a complete technical failure though on the devs part. Like I know people are gonna be saying like the game is dead, but it's not. There are plenty of people playing. It is purely like a matchmaking issue. Like this is entirely on the devs, not on the players. I think he went down there. On, he actually killed someone. Gonna prepare our stuff then. did he kill that guy though? That's the question. Oh my god, he gets to live another day. You know what's crazy, Final Fury? My friend Steel, he has a save-edited save file on PlayStation. Like, you know, he exported his save from PlayStation to PC, and he modified his save so that the game invades at a higher interval, and it searches for more area. So he has, like, way more activity. And, I mean, to me, that sounds crazy, because if it's as simple as changing a few values, why didn't the dev do that for everyone? You know what I mean? So this is why I say that it's a complete failure on the dev's part. If, like, someone can just, like, change a few parameters on their save and have this sort of outcome, like, that is just such a fail from the dev, in my opinion. And I think the reason why they did that is probably to protect the PvEers from getting invaded at a higher interval, but even that doesn't really make sense because they already have a cooldown. Like, they can't get invaded more than once per, like, 50 minutes or something like that. So even if as the invader you have, like, more areas that you're searching at a time, that still doesn't add up. Have to be careful about that. Unfortunately, like, here you can't, like, just force your way through. I don't actually want the PvE to get in there. Wow, that actually, like, almost got me. Just a well-timed leg chopper. Yeah, I know, like, I didn't know this was possible either until, like, maybe last month or so. But, like, to make a long story short, basically, like, when you're searching for invasions, it's like you're searching, let's say, like, 5 areas at a time, right? Like, when I click this invade, I'm searching, like, 5 areas at a time when I select, like, both far and near. So, like, it searches, like, different, like, let's say 5 different maps. And then it's gonna take like a 20 or 30-second interval. Like, so right now it's searching, like, let's say 5 areas. And then if it didn't find anything, it's gonna take like 20 seconds before it searches another, like, 5 areas. So that's why you spam it, so that, you know, it searches 5 areas right now. Okay, it didn't find anything. Search 5 more areas right now. Okay, so search 5 more areas. Okay, nothing. Search 5 more areas. So that's why you spam the invasion button. Because otherwise you have to wait the whole cooldown. So if I just wait here, it's like, okay, well, it didn't find it. I'm gonna have to wait like 20, 30 seconds. That's why you spam it. It's like, oh, okay, there you go. Now it found it. So what the save editing thing does is the people that have this modification, instead of searching 5 areas, maybe they search 20, and instead of having a 20-second or 30-second cooldown, well, they have like a 4-second cooldown, so they don't need to spam it. It's crazy to me that something like that is possible so easily, and the devs never actually bothered to like pay any sort of attention to that, to like fix this issue if it's that simple to fix. Okay, they're under. No, I did not modify my save at all. Otherwise, I would be getting way more invasions. I'm explaining to people in chat like that this is possible, which shows that FromSoft really is to blame here, because if it's that simple to do, then why isn't that the case in the base game for everyone? That's the argument. Like, everyone should have that to start with, no? So that you don't have to struggle to find activity. And again, the only reason I could see why they're not doing it is somehow like they came up with some sort of conclusion that it would get PvEers invaded more, maybe. That's the only thing I can think of. And even then, like, to me, like, if they wanted that, they should be increasing the cooldown so that they get invaded, like, let's say, you know, once every 30 minutes instead of 15 then. Interesting fight. Yeah, Final Fury, I mean, your guess is as good as mine. Like, you know, they could have a reason to do that, but honestly, I just highly doubt that there's that many invaders compared to host. Really, I highly doubt it. Like, the, you know, the PvE community is far bigger than the PvP community, especially in this game. And like I said, even if that was the case, it's just better overall to have a system that's more efficient at searching. Oh. Guys, I just got a brownout and my UPS kicked in perfectly. You guys had no interruption. It was pretty crazy. So a brownout is basically like a blackout that lasts like a split second. Oh, I just got another one. Dude, it's so cool that it's working. So the stream would have shut off right now if I didn't have this UPS. Like, for those wondering, a UPS is basically like some sort of like battery that protects your system or your computer. And like when there's no more power coming in, like the battery kicks in to take over to protect the system. And so for situations like that, so under normal circumstances, the stream would have shut off right now. It's pretty crazy. Like, sometimes like these brownout can happen for like the stupidest reason. It could be wind, it could be like a fucking squirrel on a cable, or the weather, you know, like rain, snow, you name it. Never use any electronics without a UPS. Have an online one though. When you say you have an online one, I feel like it's been a long time since I looked up that sort of stuff. I know there's like a jargon specifically for it, like, you know, pure sine wave and online versus offline. I forgot what like online UPS means versus the opposite. Could you like remind me? Because I remember I looked that stuff up, but it's been a while, so I don't remember everything. Because every technology has its own jargon. Like, you need to learn like some new vocabulary to to know like some technology. But every time I purchase something, I always do like some research to make sure I buy the right thing. The online just helps converting AC to DC immediately. I remember like a few years ago, I made the decision to not buy a UPS, and I didn't have one for the longest. And you know, obviously I was victim from a few blackouts and brownouts, and luckily it didn't you know, didn't damage my electronics. But you know, I've heard you know, a Mish from Dark Souls 3, like I know he lost like a computer from like a brownout, I think. So it's like it can definitely damage your electronics, so it's good to have it. But back when I was shopping for one, I was not satisfied with the battery and longevity that it offered. Like these older UPS were basically all like acid lead batteries, and then you know, afterward like lithium batteries came out, but they were like expensive, like the UPS with lithium that could hold or that could output enough for a whole like PC setup. But you know, as time went by, like batteries got cheaper, you have more options. So right now I have a UPS that's basically technically like a battery for camping. It's a battery for camping, but that has the UPS function, and it costs like pretty much a little bit lower than what a UPS would cost for these sort of spec. So technically it's just better than if I would get like a typical UPS. Is he gonna fog wall? He's fat rolling. Oh my god. Oh, he didn't get the BS. Kind of feel bad. You have solar? That's pretty cool, dude. I wish I had solar. I feel like it's so cool to be like independent and like for your own like energy. Or maybe you're not like completely independent. Maybe you're still like connected to the grid, but you have this this extra layer of like security, and also, you know, over time, depending on where you live, like it can pay off your part of your electricity bill, so you're saving some money there as well. It's pretty. I think it's pretty cool. I know some people don't really like that sort of stuff, but I like the idea of people having their own autonomy for like energy, food, and that sort of stuff. Not necessarily a prepper or anything, but I just like that sort of stuff. I think it makes a lot of sense to be like as independent as you can. It should be standard. Well, you know, it depends on where you live. If you live in a big city, it's just not possible. Or, you know, there are some places like, you know, like in the province of Quebec where I live, like electricity is like some of the cheapest and some of the like highest quality electricity that you can get like around the world, because you know, in our province we have like a lot of hydroelectric, and you know, the hydroelectric here makes our electricity pretty cheap. So even for people who have like the space and, you know, they're set up to have solar and everything, it's more like a luxury thing, because it's gonna take like it's gonna take like almost the duration of the lifespan of the panels to pay back your setup in electricity. You know what I mean? Like, because the electricity is so cheap, and we have winters, and so like, you know, we have like snow in winters, I mean. And so like the math is not the same as someone who lives in Arizona, obviously. Like someone who lives in Arizona can have like some super like optimal condition, their electricity normally would also be higher, so their payback cost make a lot more sense than someone that would live, you know, in the northern regions of Canada, especially in a region in Canada where electricity is already cheap to start with. But yeah, depending on where you live, it can make more sense. And obviously, if you're in the city, you know, you're kind of limited, so... It will take you like 20 years to break even. Yeah, it's not... Like, it's not, like, ideal for everyone. Like, you know, for anyone in cities, for my province, it's very, like, suboptimal. Like, the reason why you'd get, like, the reason why someone would probably get solar here is mostly for, like, some sort of, like, energy backup. If they're completely off-grid and, you know, they don't have a choice, then they'll probably have, like, some sort of, like, oversized setup to account for the winter, you know. And they'll probably have, like, on top of that, like, some fucking gas supplies for, like, extra generator for when there's no solar. It's like... It's a like that's not like that's not most people here. Like, we're talking about like a niche within a niche within a niche of people who would actually, you know, where it would make sense for them, you know. So yeah, all in all, I really like the idea. Unfortunately, not really accessible for everyone though. You know what would be cool though? If everyone had their own little nuclear reactor. You know, just like in Fallout. You know, whoa, could not lock onto him. You know, in Fallout, like when you're building a settlement, you can build yourself some fucking, some little, like, tiny, like, nuclear reactor. Oh my god, that did a ton of damage. You know what? We're gonna let them go down. Oh, the host stayed up, and he's dead. Oh no, he survived somehow. Wow. Well, that was definitely something. Alright, now we're gonna go and we're gonna be ready for the wave of piss. We're gonna be extra careful. I think we want to have like the whip for Endure, just to be on the safer side. And have our sleep bots as well. Wait a little bit, they get slept. Wow, I'm surprised. Wow, he actually traded to kill me. That's crazy. I was not expecting him to do that much. I think it tier skipped me too. Pretty wild. Yo, hello me, thanks for the resub for 2 years, dude. That's crazy. Thank you so much, man. The last time I played Dark Souls 3 was a few months after Elden Ring came out. Someone told me that Dark Souls 3 was very active, so I went in there and tried it. I played for like 10 minutes and never really played afterward. What surprised me when I played back then, like that was a few years ago, you know, like that's probably like 4 years ago. What was my reaction back then was like, you know, we had not had like any really significant patches with Elden Ring at that point. Like, you know, like the R2s for the weapon were not even like buffed yet. Like the speed for the R2s was useless for most weapons. And you know, back when I tried Dark Souls 3 again, I was still fresh on the game, like in a meaning that I had not played for a few months, but you know, a few months, it's not like the worst, so I still had my muscle memory. It was just still as good. But what surprised me was how bad it felt to use Claymore in Dark Souls 3 compared to using Claymore in Elden Ring. Like, what surprised me the most was that it really felt like you were so limited with your weapons, with your attacks, in Dark Souls 3 compared to Elden Ring. Like, you had no option. It was always like stuff that was easy to roll with no like mix-up per se. Whereas in Elden Ring, you have like so much more things that you can do to do damage and roll catch someone. And it's really because Elden Ring has the crouch attacks, you know, it has like running light, running heavy. It's just Elden Ring has more options combat-wise than Dark Souls 3 had. And so that really surprised me how bad it felt back then to go back to Dark Souls 3. And it felt extremely limiting. Let's try to respawn. Okay, we got them. Wait. Are we safe here? We are. Okay, here is safe. Here is not safe. I think we need to establish if we can drop here when we need to. That's very bad. That's a problem. It's gonna do it again. God, got conk blocked. I was expecting him to roll, but these guys don't know what they're doing, so you don't expect. It's been drink another blue. We're gonna have to survive. We're gonna have to survive the length at which he does that. Like we're gonna have to survive while he does all his ash, and then we're gonna be able to engage afterward. Because right now, I want to hit the host through the shield with the sort of night swap. But I won't have time. The other guy's gonna hit me. And we're limited in the area in which we can play. That could have been bad. Like here, we don't really have like a moment where we can hit them cleanly. And this is very dangerous. Like here, see, like I want to do it, but it's very risky. Okay, this guy pulled out the claw, so if I get punished for hitting the host, it's not as bad. So we can actually afford to go for it now. See? Like he did like barely any damage. Barely. Okay, I think we can start making moves now. And we're out of fucking blue. This is a terrible spot to be fighting. I think what I should have done in hindsight is sleep bolt them. Should have spammed sleep bolts at them. And now they dropped? Yeah, and now they fucking drop. Insane. Alright. At least here we have some cover, so it's a lot better. Okay, questionable. Come on, game. This is so bad. We're getting really unlucky in this one. We're out of blue as well. When we don't have time to do anything. So we're gonna have to fight them without any blue juice. I'm gonna use that. At least we can BHS out. Okay, this guy is weak though. One running attack from the Great Cat should kill him. Okay. Alright, we made it out. Oh, come on, you don't. It ate my input there. Interesting. Yo, Soda, how you doing, man? I feel like we got pretty unlucky in this one. It's just like situation was not favoring us whatsoever. To be fair, it was a bad play to go down there with them, but like the area in general kind of forced us to play a certain way. If we were to play this optimally or correctly, we should not be engaging them like whatsoever. In these areas, what we should do is, like, you know, go a little bit further in the level and wait for them there. That would have been like the correct play, because a little further into the level you have places where you can back up without risking to get hit by traps. Yo, Whitnick, thanks for the raid, man. I appreciate it. Welcome in, guys. Today is Dex build with some usual Dex swaps. There's two people in here. And they're right next to us, but we can't really reach them. Or actually, can we? Maybe we can. Wait. Wait, how does that work? I think you can only go one way here. What about here? Is there something? Some hidden spots. Okay, now there's 3 of them. So it looks like they're probably ganking here, because there's no enemy up there. We're just waiting. Now the blue though, okay, the blue is AFK. Maybe we can take out the blue here. Well, he's not there. Great players. So we can't actually reach them. We could reach them if we get lucky respawning, But for now, I think we're gonna wait. Or if they do that, there you go. Now we can. Close. Okay, this guy had no health. Never mind. Do it. I know you want to. You can't actually reach me here. Okay, you can. Right now, he should not have enough. 1, 2, 3. Okay, maybe not. I'm dead. I miscounted that badly. Okay, that's just a brain fart. I was like, he must be out now. He must be out now. Okay, he must be out now. I should have actually counted the amount of hits, or the amount of thing he was doing. Like, I should have waited like one more time, and then as soon as he drank the blue, I should have started counting, and wait for him to get out of him again, and then start counting again. My plan was to like tank it, and then he would run out and was forced to like drink blue, and so I could like go up the ladder, but I mean, it's just a brain fart. Well, at least we killed this one before the hose got in. Another thing I could have tried going up the ladder would have been to bubble up and then put on as much magic protection as I could and try to face tank it, but with the proper setup. Actually locked onto this guy. Dude, that shit is wild. You just keep on swinging. Oh, man. Yeah, Wheat Cutter honestly is an amazing swap. It's probably the most useful swap. Like it's definitely like a top 10 most useful. It's definitely the most useful swap for a Dex build. But even amongst like all other builds, like it's up there. It's up there amongst like the really good swaps. I really like it. Didn't have that. Nice physic. Okay, duels. I think we can do this now. Oh my god, I tanked that. Right, fight looked a lot closer because he healed and I didn't, but even then, I think we could have killed them like flawlessly. I think we could have gotten a more clean kill. I really feel like playing bad players all the time makes you play sloppy in general. It does 1000%, yeah. The reason why I'm sitting at the grace there is to refill the crossbow bolts, because they don't refill automatically. You have to sit at the grace to refill them. There's two of them. Oh my god. Insane. That's my fault. I'm sloppy as fuck there. I wanted to get that fox kill. It's just a bad play, really. Ugh, that's so unfortunate. I think we're starting to play for too long here. That's what happens when you play for too long. I think I'm gonna do a last one and then call it. That was just like completely on me there. Like that's one of the, you know, easiest invasion you can get, and I just like handed them over the win. So let's do a last one and then call it a day. Maybe a few of them up there. He actually saved me with his backstab. At least we got the fox skill we wanted, but let's call it here. I think that's enough invasions for today. Guys, thanks everyone for coming by again. Really appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys up next time. Take it easy, everyone. I think it's best I get off here because I'm, you know, when you're starting to play really bad, that means it's time to get off. Alright, take it easy, guys. Have a good night. Alright, let's see here. Let's raid Owen again.